Hello out there in Na'aleh land. We thank everyone in the studio. We continue in our Honorable Mentions series, and the last mini-series we've had, subdivision, has been regarding the subject of hatred. We began by saying that hatred is an extraordinarily destructive emotion, and we emphasized the fact that the evil of hatred is not just what it does to the victim, but the person who has hatred in their heart is so self-destructive. Last time we spoke about there's actually a virtue to hatred. Sometimes, when people do things which are truly evil, there has to be an emotion, there has to be hatred against it. Because if you just love all the time, then what worth is there of love if everything is love? How can you hate evil? How can you love good and not hate its opposite? If you don't hate the opposites, then love itself has no meaning. Alright, now we're going to continue this for just 1 second, then we'll move on to the obvious segue to all of this, which is Lashon Hara, evil speech. The continuation of what we've been discussing till now will be, as far as hatred when it is permissible, there are plenty of verses within the Torah, Nevi'im and Ksuvim, that, like we know, the famous one from Koheles, a time for killing and a time for healing, a time for throwing stones and a time for gathering stones. There's a time for war and there's a time for peace. So, when is the appropriate time for hating? And against whom should this hatred be directed? The Torah teaches us that it is appropriate to hate people who hate God, and we'll expand upon this. And today, this will also mean you have to hate people who hatch evil plots. It is appropriate to hate people who bear false witness. It's appropriate to hate people who incite brothers to quarrel, people who cheat. And here's the pasuk from Devarim. I'll read this in English. You must have completely honest weights and completely honest measures. If you are to endure long on the soil that the Lord your God is giving you. For everyone who does these things, everyone who deals dishonestly, is abhorrent to the Lord your God. And so, therefore, if you're going to be dishonest, God opposes this very much, indeed He despises it. 2 other points. There are times that it says in Tehillim regarding evil, you who love the Lord, hate evil. To fear the Lord is to hate evil. Secondly, those who hate God, I hate those who hate you. So says David HaMelech. So there's a Talmudic passage which teaches that it is appropriate to hate a Jewish sinner. Someone who does, for example, an immoral act. It's appropriate. What is the appropriate reaction when you see someone who brazenly violates the word of God? It should be one of hatred. There's a command to hate such a person. But the Chazon Ish pointed out that nowadays, when God's conduct is less manifest as it was in the past, there's no such thing as apikorsim anymore. People don't know better. He labeled as tinogo shenishbu. These were analogous to children who were raised by non-Jews and don't know any better. So these people ruled the Chazon Ish and everyone subsequently based on the Chazon Ish. It is not appropriate to hate them. It would be appropriate to despise their acts, but not the people themselves, for they know no better. However, one last thing, and that is, in the 20th century in particular, and I hope this doesn't continue in the 21st century, we have to be aware of the fact that the 2 powerful political movements that hated God brought about the greatest evil ever. That is Nazism and communism. Hitler declared, quote, Asiatic God tyrant of the Jews, and his life-denying 10 commandments. So he right away connects that his hatred of the Jew connects with their connection to God. And Lenin said nothing any different. Said Lenin, I hate God as I do my personal enemies. And we have to realize that consistently throughout history, those who've hated God have been at the forefront of those who've hated Jews. But it could be also those who think they're close to God and will also, people invoke God in their as a reason for their hatred. They advocate evil behavior. So-called religious people do evil in God's name for unbelievable cruelties. Comes to mind, of course, the Crusaders, the Inquisitors. And how about Muslim terrorists who invoke Allah Akbar, how great God is, Al-Qaeda and Hamas. They'll murder innocent people in the name of God. Okay, we're finally done with hatred, and we're going to move on to Lashon Hara. Now, I'm sure everyone in the audience is well familiar with the prohibition to speak evil to slander, to besmirch. So we're going to try and analyze today, the source of the main part of our class, is to analyze the unfair aspects. There are things we know. Most people, if you ask them, why is Lashon Hara forbidden? Why are you not allowed to speak bad about someone? They'll tell you because the Torah says it's forbidden. I want to try and explain, and this is based on pretty brilliant exposition by Rabbi Joseph Telushkin, the unfairness of Lashon Hara. We're going to delve into aspect by aspect, but just by remember the fact. Lashon Hara by definition means true. So people think that's defense. Now, fact of the matter is, in American civil court, you'll be absolved from slander by saying it was true. But by saying it's true according to Jewish law is admission of guilt. That's the definition of Lashon Hara. It is mean-spirited truthfulness. You're saying something which is truthful to denigrate someone else. That's the definition, and it's inherently unfair. The fact of the matter is that you say it when someone's not around.